Unraveled secrets. The sinister rules of the cursed and haunted revealed after 7 terrifying years. In Red Creek, every whisper carried weight. Every door creaked just a little too loudly at night. Disappearances hung in the air like fog, thick and suffocating. 7 years ago, Emma's life fractured when the first neighbor vanished without a trace. Now, as she watched her kids play beneath the ancient oak, the shadows felt more oppressive. The air around her trembled with past horrors, memories hidden just beneath the pristine surface of suburbia. The house across the street loomed empty, grass unkempt, windows covered in grime. It resembled an abandoned puppet, once vibrant, now lifeless, echoing the fate of its occupants. Emma shuddered, the laughter of her children suddenly hollow, bouncing off the eerie chill that slithered into their yard. Max and Lily, blissfully unaware, filled the backyard with colorful drawings. But as she glanced at their art, a cold dread wrapped around her heart. Shadowy figures with gaping mouths and hollow caverns for eyes. What were they seeing that she couldn't see? Her nerves twisted tighter when she stepped into the diner that evening. As the neon lights flickered weakly, patrons whispered over their plates, sideways glances darting towards her. It felt like being trapped in a web. She noticed the way they exchanged knowing looks, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and an unsettling fear. What were they hiding? The whispers morphed into a fog of paranoia that clung like a damp blanket, suffocating her with every breath she took. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With every fleeting moment, dread swelled inside her. Pettiness of thoughts drowned in a sea of hopelessness. She confronted Mr. Thompson, the town official she once regarded as an ally. As her heart raced, each word stumbled out, bathed in urgency. But the look he gave her, the glaze over his eyes, one that said he had witnessed too much and spoke too little. The truth loomed like a monster waiting to be unleashed. When darkness fell, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Restless, she tiptoed to Max's room, pulling the door slowly to find him asleep. He was dreamless, yet Lily's bed remained empty. The soft creak of the floorboard felt like a warning. Hadn't she just checked the yard? Her heart pounded as she peered out the window to see the outline of the oak tree. A shape crouched beneath it, shifting like smoke, too indescribable to comprehend. Panic gripped her as she backed away. This wasn't her neighborhood anymore, but a house of secrets. Would they untangle the sinister threads that bound this once charming street? Or was she destined to become another shadow, lost beneath the ancient oak tree that seemed to drink the light? Emma's breath quickened. The true horror was only beginning. Emma's heart raced, thudding painfully against her ribs. The shape beneath the oak didn't shift but seemed to pulse, a living darkness that defied her comprehension. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but instead, she stood paralyzed, grappling with the need to protect her children. "Lily," she called, her voice trembling in the stillness. Panic distorted her thoughts. Where was her little girl? She turned back to Max's room, hoping against hope that Lily was just hiding, playing a trick on her. But that possibility dwindled as dread tightened its grip. The house felt somehow smaller, the walls constricting, scraping against her sanity. She brushed past a family photo hanging crookedly on the wall, smiles frozen in time, oblivious to the growing horror that had seeped into their lives. Everything in Red Creek betrayed its surface, hiding whispers of darkness and looming threats. "Lily," her voice rose, cracking. Outside, the darkness thickened like ink spilled across the lawn. No longer just creeping shadows, but a black canvas stretching, consuming everything in its path. She moved to the front door, her breath drying in her throat. Each step felt heavier. As she reached for the doorknob, a sudden flurry of laughter skittered through the night. It was Lily's laugh, small, sweet, yet chilling in its echo. Emma hesitated, pressing her ear against the door, searching for the source. The laughter wrapped around her, tangling with her fear. Was it real? Or a puppet of her imagination? twisted by the eerie atmosphere enveloping her head. Lily. The urgency sliced through her restraint. She flung the door wide open, stepping into the night. A chilling breeze snaked around her, wrapping her in cold fingers. Lily? She whispered again, her voice cracking under the weight of despair. The yard felt warped underfoot, the grass wet and clinging, tugging at her as she moved toward the looming oak. The laughter resumed, but now it was different in echo, blending in with something guttural and distorted. Emma squinted into the darkness, feeling the air constrict around her throat. And then she saw her. Lily stood beneath the gnarled branches, illuminated by a pale moon, her small figure still and silent. But her expression was not of innocence. Her dark eyes glistened, reflecting an understanding heavy too far beyond her years. There was a pulse of quiet understanding shared only between the shadows and the child, enveloping them in malevolence. "What are you doing, sweetheart?" Emma called, her voice barely a whisper now, caught between awe and fear. "I'm playing, Mommy," Lily responded, her voice a high-pitched chiming that echoed with dissonance. "With them?" Emma's blood turned to ice. "With who?" She stepped closer against the chilling dread that threatened to engulf her. Suddenly, the laughter faded, but the shadows danced, swirling around Lily, tugging at her as if trying to lure her further into the darkness. Emma felt a tightness around her heart, each beat echoing louder in her ears, drowning out reason. The oak branches swayed, and she could swear she saw forms flitting amongst the trunk, their shapes almost human but contorted and twisted, reaching for her daughter. Desperation surged inside her. She darted forward, but a pulse of energy stopped her, a force like a brick wall. "Mommy, come play." Lily beckoned, her voice young yet tainted with something ancient and wrong. Resonating through the air like a chant, Emma's world narrowed, focused only on her daughter, each movement toward her a fight against an unseen current, attempting to drag her back. But before she could touch Lily, another shape bolted from behind the tree, a shadow that felt alive, reaching toward her. Panic surged through Emma, and she screamed. The night rippled as shadows swelled. And somewhere, deep in the heart of Red Creek, a dark laughter began to echo. Would she save Lily, or would both be lost to the dark whispers of the night? As cold fingers gripped at her arms, she wondered if the truth would bring salvation or more terror. Emma's scream shattered the night, a desperate cry swallowed by the thick darkness. She staggered, eyes locked on Lily as the shadows around her danced with a mind of their own. The figure under the oak twisted and flickered, a specter of indescribable dread. "Lily!" she shrieked, the sound raw, breaking as it slipped from her throat. The young girl continued to smile, an eerie grin stretching unnaturally across her face. The laughter echoed again, but it was no longer a playful sound. It morphed into something menacing, wrapping around Emma like a noose. "Mommy, come play," Lily cried again, voice drifting on the chilling wind. Emma's heart pounded wildly as a different voice emerged from the shadows, low and guttural, whispering just beyond her reach. "Join us, Emma. You have always belonged." Fear coiled tighter in her chest, choking off her breath. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of wet earth and decay. She fought the urge to flee, knowing escape left Lily vulnerable to whatever nightmares loomed. Her skin prickled, a warning that she wasn't alone. A figure crept just outside her peripheral vision, watching, waiting. "No," she shouted, shaking her head as the shadows shifted again, creating grotesque shapes around her. "I want to let you take her." With a lurch, she pushed against the unseen barrier. She could feel its pulse alive and suffocating, but the more she fought, the stronger it became, like a sinking ship pulling her under the waves. Lily's voice sang sweetly, but it was interlaced with something sinister. "Mommy, you can't leave me behind." A crack split through the air, louder than thunder. Branches from the oak snapped like brittle bones as a formless shape emerged from its depths, larger and more terrifying than she could have imagined. It loomed between her and Lily, tendrils whipping in agitation. "Stay back," Emma shouted, shoving the weight of dread from her mind. Desperation surged, igniting a flare of instinctual bravery. She lunged forward, dragging her feet through the cloying grass. Her fingers brushed the cool metal of her keys, and the jangle startled her. Without thinking, she hurled them into the shadows as a distraction. The sound drew the dark figure's attention for just a moment. "Lily," she pleaded again, voice trembling but fierce, raising her hand toward her daughter. In that heartbeat, the lunging shadow redirected its attention, but as it lunged, Emma dared to hope. "Come to me, Lily." The small girl hesitated, caught between the beckoning of the twisted presence and her mother's outstretched arms. Emma's adrenaline fueled her courage as she angled her body toward her daughter, desperate to reach her. Without a warning, the ground trembled beneath her feet. The shadows convulsed, a chaotic whirlpool of darkness rising up as tendrils snaked toward her. "Leave her," she roared, feeling sheer resolve burning in her chest like a shield. "Join us," the whisper taunted, slithering into her mind, grappling her thoughts. "Don't fight it, you can be free." "No," Emma screamed again, fighting every instinct pulling her to the shadows. She took one last lunging step, mind sharp with clarity and raw fear, pushing against the force of darkness. Through the turmoil, Lily finally took a step toward her. The tension shifted, a moment where time stretched painfully thin. As her daughter's hand reached out, the shadow lunged again. A flash of light flickered in the chaos, illuminating the darkness and casting vivid shapes against the trees. Emma's heart dropped as a horrifying face emerged, twisted and gnarled, the embodiment of every nightmare made real. "Lily, run," she shouted, but would it be enough to break the spell? As the world around her changed, the figures began to converge, a mass of shadowy forms writhing in a clamor of desperate sounds that blurred the line between pain and laughter. Emma felt the ground slipping away, a steep drop into an abyss she couldn't see. What would happen if she stayed? What awaited them on the other side? Lily kept dancing toward the dark figure, oblivious to the danger. Emma's scream merged into the chaos. The darkness pressed in, swallowing her whole just as she was about to reach her daughter. And deep, somewhere beneath the chaos, the laughter never stopped, beckoning them closer. What would it take to escape? As the walls of her reality began to crumble, Emma braced for the inevitable. Would she face the darkness alone? Or was there a way to save them both? A freezing gust of wind swept through the clearing, wrapping Emma in its icy grip. The laughter pulsed through the darkness, a relentless echo drawing haunting memories from her mind. The memories of her daughter's laughter, once sweet and innocent, now twisted and eerily hollow. Shadows coiled around her limbs, pulling her closer to the maw of darkness. "Lily," she cried, heart racing, desperate to drown out the whispers, the chaos. The figure loomed larger, grotesque tendrils dancing as if orchestrated by an unseen conductor. "Don't you see what it wants?" For a moment, Emma felt the ground stabilize beneath her, a fleeting flicker of clarity amidst the chaos. She locked eyes with her daughter, who now stood frozen, captivated by the malevolent shadow. "You've got to fight it. Please, come to me." But Lily's smile was now a mask of confusion. "Mommy plays too, it's fun." Her voice rang with an unsettling glee, sending shockwaves of fear through Emma's heart. "No, Lily, that isn't fun. It's a trap." Emma's pulse thundered in her ears as the darkness encroached. She could feel the pull, like a string tethered to her soul, tightening with each passing heartbeat. "Join us," the guttural voice wrapped around her, seductive and sinister. It promised escape, a release, the end of fear. The shadows seemed to pulse, inviting her, and for just a moment, the heaviness on her chest lightened, whispering sweet promises of solace: no more pain, no more struggle. "Fight, Emma," she hissed under her breath, shaking her head to clear the fog clouding her thoughts. Her commitment to Lily burned bright against the dimming landscape of despair. She couldn't let the darkness consume them. "Together," she shouted, channeling every ounce of strength into her voice. "Lily, we are stronger together." The shadows hissed, a hiss filled with rage, as if Emma's rallying cry threatened its dominance. Lily hesitated. Emma seized that moment, heart racing. She surged forward again, fighting through the grasping forms of shadows, reaching out, reaching for her child. "Come back." Panic surged through her veins like fire. Just a few more steps, and suddenly, the darkness shook violently. A deep rumble echoed like thunder, and the ground beneath Emma cracked, sending fissures shooting through the earth, splintering her resolve. She stumbled, but she wouldn't stop. She couldn't. Lily. The desperate plea erupted from her throat as she lunged again, despairing that she might lose her daughter forever. Just as she thought she could bridge the distance, tendrils shot out, snagging her ankle. Pain jolted through her as the grip tightened, dragging her back into the abyss. And then, a horrifying realization pierced through her confusion. Lily was slipping away. The grip the darkness had on her daughter was unyielding. No, I won't let you have her, Emma screamed, pulling with every thread of her being. She clenched her eyes shut against the tide of despair. In that darkness, something inside her ignited a pulse of warmth, of hope. Memories of happier days played back like fleeting images. A sunlit park, giggles erupting like fireworks, the sound of Lily's tiny feet pattering behind her. I will save you, Emma roared, feeling the shadows scream in protest. With one final effort, she reached into the abyss, channeling love and determination. Lily, come to me. Remember us. A pause shrouded the night, heavy silence pressing in like a wisp of fragile light. She felt something break the grasp on her ankle, releasing, the oppressive dark pulse quivering. She met Lily's gaze, her daughter's eyes flickering between recognition and the depths of shadowy control. But the darkness wasn't done. A deafening roar erupted as it surged toward Emma, more furious than before, an angry beast confronting danger. Run, Lily. Now, Emma yelled, urgency shredding her voice as she stretched her arms wide, defying the dark. As the darkness enveloped her, Emma felt something shift. The shadows recoiled, creating space, as if hesitating for just a heartbeat. A chance. She could sense the darkness coiling, plotting its next move. What would happen next? Tendrils slashed toward her, and she braced for impact, her heart thundering. Was this spell unbreakable? In the gripping silence, Emma waited, faith tremoring in her chest. All or nothing. Would their bond shatter the evil force? As she stood amid the chaos, waiting for a sign, a chilling laugh pierced the air, a sound that promised no one would escape unscathed. What if the shadows had a plan all along? What horror awaited as they drew closer? The shadows lunged forward, tendrils slashing at the air with a furious intensity, and Emma felt the very fabric of her being unraveling in their wake. The earth trembled beneath her feet, a primal warning that something ancient and bloodthirsty roared to life. No, she screamed, the word barely more than a whisper amidst the cacophony. The cold wind twisted, biting at her skin, fueling the encroaching dread. Light flickered in front of her like a dying ember, the clearing shrouded in an oppressive curtain of fear. She could feel it all around her, the pulse of the dark, vibrating with a sentience that gripped her heart in a vice-like grasp. Lily, Emma's voice broke like glass, each syllable piercing the howls of the wind. She stumbled, her feet slipping on the newly cracked earth, her pulse hammering hard against her ribs as she fought against the seductive call of the shadows. It was like being drawn to a black hole, the gravitational pull tugging mercilessly toward the event horizon. Lily's laughter rang out again, but now it was hollow, a sickening mimicry that filled Emma with dread. Mommy plays to why not join us? The words twisted in her mind, laced with a darkness that promised eternity in the depth of despair. No, Emma screamed again, fury igniting in her chest. You're stronger than this. Fight it. With her legs wanting to betray her, Emma pulled herself up, clawing toward her daughter, who still floated entranced in the dark's embrace. Her eyes, once pools of warmth, were now reflecting the chaos around them, flickering like a broken light bulb. Lily, she shouted, desperation fueling her voice, creating a solid bridge through the darkness. I'm right here. Remember the treehouse? Fragments of laughter and memories danced through the air, memories that could cut through the dark. We'll build it together, just like we talked about. She pressed forward, every inch a battle, but she would not relent. Not now, when she could see hope sparking in Lily's eyes, battling the shadows. But the laughter swelled around her, morphed into malicious glee. The treehouse doesn't exist anymore, it's gone forever like your hope. Emma's breath hitched. The shadows closed in, a swirling mass of sinister intent. But she remembered how they had built it together, her hands and Lily's tiny ones, weaving the ropes, imagining the adventures. They had dreamt big, And that dream hadn't died, it was buried somewhere deep inside where the darkness couldn't reach. Listen to me. Emma forced through the tumult. You're still my Lily. You are not part of this. A crack of thunder split the air, shaking the ground beneath her, sending Emma to her knees. Her heart raced as shadowy fingers curled around her throat, like a forgotten dread choking the life from her. She clawed at the tendrils, gasping for breath, fighting to remain anchored in her desperate resolve. With every ounce of will, she grasped the light of their memories, refusing to let them slip away. Fight with me, sweetheart. You're stronger. For a breathless moment, silence enveloped them. The shadows paused, coiling back slightly, as if sensing the surge of energy. Emma locked eyes with her daughter, seeing a flicker of recognition. That pure bond, forged in love, was fighting back. Yet, the shadows shifted, undulating like a storm, and their laughter twisted into something more sinister. You think memories can save you? What will you do when you see the true monster behind the veil? A frigid chill crept down Emma's spine. The shadows tugged and pulled, a torrent of fury. Were they teasing, or was there a truth buried just beneath the surface? Stay with me, Emma shouted, her voice breaking as she felt the grip on her soul tightening once more. The shadows were relentless, wrapping around her limbs, the darkness plunging deeper than she had dared to believe. That a thought pierced through the noise like a beacon. Every monster had a name, a weakness. What if she could disentangle their grip? What if she could expose their heart? Show yourself, she cried, challenging the malevolence surrounding them. You will not take my daughter. In that charged silence, a sharp gust of wind faltered as if a dark entity formed before her. And just then, deep laughter echoed through the clearing, booming with an ancient power. For a moment, the darkness seemed to pause, and Emma felt something sinister brewing in the air, a plan unfurling with deliberate malice. What was the truth hiding beneath those shadows? What new horror awaited as the darkness shifted and began to reveal its true form? A sudden hush fell over the clearing, the shadows hovering uncertainly, as if they were caught in a moment of hesitation. Emma's heart raced, thumping against her chest like a caged beast desperate to escape. The dark laughter faded into a sinister whispering, coiling around her, tickling her ears with secrets meant for her alone. What do you really want, Emma? The voice slithered through the air, smooth and chilling. It was as if the shadows themselves were speaking, forming the words with a palpable hunger that made her skin crawl. You play so well to the beat of memories, but memories cannot save you. They betray you. No, Emma shouted, her voice cracking, desperation spilling out. I won't let you take her. She wasn't sure how much longer she could stand against the tide, but the thought of Lily held her firm. She could not fail her. Suddenly, the shadows thickened, swirling into a vortex that suffocated the light. Tendrils of darkness lunged closer, and she could no longer feel the ground beneath her feet. She cried out, fear clawing at her throat as she fought against the suffocating grip tightening around her, digging deeper into her essence. Are you ready to learn the rules of the cursed? The voice swelled with an unsettling thrill. To play your part until the very end? How much are you willing to sacrifice? A vision flickered in her mind, a dimly lit room, walls covered in whispers, secrets, and despair. A reflection of herself stood in front of her, eyes clouded with sorrow, echoes of past decisions staining the air with bitterness. What had she sacrificed already? Hadn't she already lost so much in this never-ending fight? The air crackled, the shadows writhed in delight, as if they were absorbing her fear. They could sense her hesitation. Emma was teetering on the brink. Would she plunge into the abyss or pull herself back? This is your chance for power, the voice continued, tempting her. Join us. Become one with the darkness, and you will have what you desire. Never. Emma spat back, feeling anger flaring in her chest. I wouldn't trade Lily for anything. But doubt sliced through her resolve. What if she was wrong? What if surrendering to the shadows was the only way to save her daughter? The swirling darkness pressed in closer, and she tensed, wrestling with the seductive allure of power interlaced with desperation. Emma's thoughts raced, fueled by fleeting memories of laughter, light, and love. She willed herself to focus, to push back against the tide. Lily is worth everything, she screamed, the force of her love morphing into an invisible shield, pushing against the darkness. The shadows hissed, recoiling momentarily. A flicker of warmth shot through the air, a spark ignited by hope. For a moment, she could see Lily again trapped, yet fighting. Her daughter's spirit flickered in defiance against the chill. "Mommy, help me." Lily's voice broke through the din, filled with enough clarity to slice through the shadows like a blade. Emma felt the tide shift. "Hold on, Lily. I'm coming." Yet even as she shouted, the sinister laughter returned, deep and reverberating. "You don't understand the game you're playing, Emma. The true monster will reveal itself soon." With a swift movement, darkness enveloped them again, swirling in a tempest of fury. Emma squinted, trying to catch glimpses of Lily, steeling herself for what came next. Was she ready to face the truth? Would she find the courage to fight against the dark that transcended mere shadows? The laughter faded into an ominous silence, leaving Emma clutching her thoughts, trembling inexplicably. Deep within the dark, a pair of glowing eyes emerged, piercing through the veil and zeroing in on her. What kind of monster lurked within those depths, waiting to be unveiled? What kind of choices would she have to make to save her daughter? The air thickened, drawing her and daring her to confront the nightmare head-on. As she stood in the face of the dark, she realized the answers lay deeper than she feared, and the next twist was about to reveal itself. The shadows pulsed, more alive than ever, the glowing eyes narrowing with malevolent glee. Emma's breath hitched in her throat as they brightened, illuminating her surroundings just enough to reveal the twisted shapes of tortured figures lurking just beyond her reach. The air grew charged, thick with the stench of decay and despair. "Are you afraid, Emma?" The voice lured her deeper, twisting her insides. Fear is such a delicious flavor. It brings out the sweetness of suffering. She shuddered, the words wrapping around her like a serpent. "Get away from me," Emma shouted, throwing up a feeble arm as if to shield herself. Her heart thundered as she fought the whirlwind of emotions. Fear, anger, determination all collided within her. The shadows writhed, singing a dark melody that matched the frantic beat of her heart. "You think love can save you?" The voice came closer, echoing through the darkness, returning yet again like a haunting refrain. "It will be your greatest weakness or your finest weapon." A flash of Lily's face filled her mind, smiling, untouched by these horrors. "You don't know me," Emma cried, forcing her voice to rise above the unfolding chaos. She grasped the thought of her daughter, the joy of their laughter. "I won't let you win." But even as she spoke, doubt crept in like the taint of smoke. "What if I fail?" The question clawed at her, feeding the shadows. The laughter returned, sharp and cutting, a cruel reminder of her fear. Suddenly, the figures in the shadows moved closer, revealing ghastly faces twisted in anguish. Each one bore a silent scream, perpetually trapped in a moment of pain. Past victims of the voice, their despair painted a macabre gallery of suffering. Emma staggered back, horror gripping her. Was this her possible fate? "Join us, Emma. Join them." The seductive tones coiled around her heart. "Embrace the darkness. You cannot win against it." "I will fight," Emma screamed, holding onto her fury like a shield. The figures rushed her, their features melting into grotesque forms demanding her surrender. The shadows grew more chaotic, the chilling laugh echoing, swallowing her will. Yet, amid despair, a faint glow burst forth from her chest. It started small, like a tiny ember in a vast, consuming void, but it pulsed with a warmth that contrasted sharply with the icy tendrils closing in. "Lily," she cried out, the tendrils faltering at the sound of her voice, a shield of light momentarily splintering their grasp. With every ounce of bravery, Emma concentrated, forcing the memory of her daughter to ignite that ember into flame. She imagined Lily's laughter, the joy of their shared moments, and the bond that tethered them together. The glow intensified, carving a path through the shadows, revealing the twisted faces that shrieked silently. "Will you sacrifice yourself for what you love?" The voice hissed, mocking her. "What is your price?" "Anything," Emma shouted, unyielding. "I'd give anything to save her." The shadows recoiled, swirling tumultuously. For a fleeting second, Emma sensed a shift. Doubt faltered and hope surged, igniting her resolve. As the shadows thrashed against her growing light, she pressed on, embracing the warmth that spread through her limbs and ignited her soul. But it was a mere flicker. Just when she thought she might overcome, the shadows rippled, mocking her triumph. You still don't understand, Emma. The darkness hungers for more. Her heart sank. What more could they possibly want? And then she felt it, a tightening, a hollow void in her chest, as if something vital was being drawn away. Your heart will only fuel our fire, sweet girl. The voice growled, sinister as it ever was. What kind of monster will you become to save your daughter? With trembling hands and a racing mind, she stood on the precipice of choice. Would she embrace this darkness to save Lily? Or would she stay true to herself? As the shadows twisted and taunted, she realized the cost of power was becoming clearer. But power at what price? A scream tore through the void, the echo of her own fear as she stood before the abyss, waiting to make her choice. Would she face the darkness inside? As she hovered at the edge of her decision, the glowing eyes simmered with anticipation. And just like that, the shadows seemed to whisper a promise the game was far from over. The shadows recoiled slightly, their form flickering as if calculating their next strike. Emma's heart raced, and she could feel the icy fingers of dread creeping back, releasing the heat within her slowly. "What are you?" she shouted, her voice trembling yet defiant. It was absurd, fueled by love. She was pushing against an ancient evil, yet doubt lingered like a parasite in her mind. "Ah, the question we all wish to know," came the mocking reply, smooth like velvet, yet edged with malice. "I am the fear that sleeps in you, the whispers in the dark. I am your memories, your pain. You've carried me all this time. You just didn't know it." With every word, the shadows slithered closer, tendrils curling around her legs, her arms. The warmth inside her flickered, threatened by the chill wrapping its way around her. "You're wrong. I carry my love for Lily, not you," she managed to say, fighting the rising tide of despair. "Love, a precious illusion," the voice purred. "It brings with it vulnerability. A toddler's toy, easily broken in a moment's rage. Tell me, Emma, how far would you truly go to protect her? Would you extinguish your light to preserve hers?" As if summoned by the darkness, memories flooded her mind, Lily racing through a sun-drenched park, her giggles like sweet music. "Those moments don't fade," Emma whispered, attempting to hold on to them. Yet the shadows sneered, warping into grotesque shapes that taunted her with twisted forms of her beloved memories. Suddenly, a shriek pierced the air, cutting through the despair. "Help! Mummy!" It was Lily's voice, clear and full of fear. Emma's breath caught. "No. Where are you?" She felt her heart lurch. The shadows erupted, each piece vying for her focus, morphing into tortured versions of Lily, each cry echoing in her ears. "Can you save her?" The voice slithered forward, sour and thick. "Or will you succumb to your own despair, like so many before you?" "No. I want to lose her. I refuse," Emma screamed, the words leaving her in a rush of air like a whip crack. The ember inside her swelled, pushing against the void, flickers of flame igniting within the shadows. An explosion of light erupted, tearing away some of the darkness that surrounded her, revealing faces of terror still screaming in agony. "Your will is strong," Emma, the voice hissed, now strained. "But emotions bind you. You fork a path of ruin for your daughter. Power is won through sacrifice. What is your price?" Her mind raced as the figures pressed in, their eyes vacant and desperate, pulling at her to join them. I would do anything," she shouted, the grasping shadows momentarily loosening, her fiery determination lighting the way. "Anything, is that so?" They hissed back, more insistent now. "What if it means you never see her again?" Emma stumbled back, the chilling thought sinking in. Would saving Lily plunge her into an eternal darkness alone? Suddenly, a figure broke through her flickering focus, a shadow distinct from the rest. "Only you can decide, Emma. And only you can face your true self." It took a step closer, revealing itself as a distorted reflection of Emma, bearing the heavy weight of her anguish and fears. "No," Emma shook her head, retreating from the being formed from her own dread. "I want to let you, I want to give in." As she turned away, the entity seemed to grow more furious, shadows surging with a fierce hunger. "You think your light can last forever? It only grows dimmer. Join us, become one with the darkness." The unrelenting pulse of the shadows filled her chest, squeezing tighter. Emma could feel her strength waning, the warmth doused under the weight of despair. The darkness thrummed like a heartbeat, relentless in its pursuit. "Fight," she urged herself. "Fight for Lily. In that moment, something deep within her flickered anew, not just for her daughter, but for her own lost bravery. With resolve burning bright, she prepared herself for the ultimate battle against the shadows, but despair gnawed at her insides, asking again, whispering what she dared not confront. What kind of monster would she become? The darkness shifted. Again, preparing for a new onslaught, the air loaded with tension. The defining moment was ahead, the veil between them thinning. Would she embrace her fear and truly find the light? Or was the price of love far greater than she ever realized? As the shadows answered her thoughts with a cacophony of screams, a swirl of black mist enveloped her, leaving only the echoing whispers, "Would you kill to save her?" Emma felt the shadows wrap tighter around her, their cold breath creeping closer, readying for a final strike. "Fight or falter," they hissed, their voices melding into a sinister chorus that echoed inside her head. She could almost see Lily's face, illuminated by a dim light, calling out in desperation. "Where are you, baby?" Emma's voice cracked, the question hanging heavy in the air. Panic crashed over her, a wave that threatened to pull her under. She knew she had to act, had to break this cycle. But how? With every flicker of light that burst from her, those haunting forms shifted. Her fears turned tangible. They were nightmares she had buried deep, memories she dared not confront. Each shadow morphed into moments of failure, regret, and sorrow. "No," she shouted. "You're not real. You don't own me." Just then, a deceptively gentle laugh reverberated around her. "Real or not, Emma, they dwell in your heart. I'm merely the puppeteer, pulling strings that you yourself wove." The shadows twisted and writhed, forming grotesque faces that leered at her, each one reflecting her darkest shame back at her. Emma felt a tremor ripple through her. "You don't know how far I'll go." She grasped at the frayed threads of her spirit, holding on with both hands as she felt the darkness start to unravel beneath her grip. "I know, dear heart, but will you embrace it?" In that moment, there was a stillness, a quiet she didn't trust. The shadows paused, as if waiting for her next move, for her next slip. Time froze. She realized this was her critical moment. It was now or never. She pushed her hands forward, forcing the light from somewhere deep. "You're nothing. You're simply echoes of my past," she screamed. The shadows recoiled, sucked in by her fierce outburst. An explosion surged from her core, bright and blinding, casting out a narrow beam through the inky darkness. For the first time, she felt warmth ignite around her, pulling trapped memories hidden and twisted beyond her reach. But just as she began to sense victory, pain sliced through her. 1,000 tiny needles jabbed at her skin, forcing her knees to falter. "You think you can leave?" The malevolent voice echoed, laced with amusement. "This is just the beginning. The price for breaking free must be paid in full." Emma's heart raced as she struggled to hold on. Shadows flickered around her like fireflies, waiting for the chance to envelop her again. She could see her daughter's cries through the thinning veil, a ghostly image trapped in the web of darkness. Lily, her desperation merged into anger and fear, fueling a fire that had been dormant for too long. "You think you can own me?" Emma shouted, focusing on every ounce of love she had, every gentle moment that kept her steady. "I won't let you take her. I will find her." But the darkness slithered close, reminding her of vulnerabilities. But to claim her, you must face the darkness that resides within." Emma choked on the bitterness of their words, knowing they weren't just threats. They were reflections of the worst part of herself, the loss, the self-doubt, everything she feared to confront. Suddenly, the shadows surged forward, merging into a giant mass. It closed the distance with menacing speed, ripping through her defenses like paper. Emma clenched her teeth, heart racing. "I am not afraid of you." With one swift motion, she drew the light to her heart and unleashed it with the force of a scream, the echo shattering the ominous silence. Blinding radiance engulfed the shadows, illuminating every crevice, every dark corner. But as the light consumed them, the cacophony morphed into a single chilling whisper, "We will return, Emma, when you least expect it." In a final flash, they faded into black smoke. Yet an unsettling sense of dread lingered, as if a new chapter had just begun. Emma stood alone, trembling but fueled by a momentary triumph. "I will find you, Lily." she shouted into the emptiness. A sudden chill swept through the air, followed by an echoing laugh, a familiar, unsettling sound that clawed at her insides. How could she fight? What lurked within herself? Emma's resolve sharpened. She would have to confront her haunting past. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of shadows lingering like an old friend promised to haunt her. But could she triumph, or would the darkness prove too strong? Only time would tell as she stepped deeper into the haze, closing in on the heart of her fears. The sun struggled to rise over Red Creek, casting hesitant rays and splitting the heavy fog that crawled along the ground. Emma clutched her arms tightly against her chest, as if shielding her heart from the lingering shadows, now retreating but still whispering unshakable truths. With a shuddering breath, she stepped forward into the fading darkness, every pulse of her heart echoing the urgency of her mission. She had faced the abyss and fought back, but the battle was far from over. "Lily," she called, her voice shaking but fierce, cutting through the humid air. The distance echoed her longing, but no answer came. Panic gripped her throat once more, but she fought to keep it at bay. With each step toward the gnarled oak tree, every fragment of memory shared with her daughter flickered in her mind, running joyfully together in sunlit parks, laughter stretching high like kites dancing against blue skies. Emma recalled nights reading stories, Lily cuddled close, the innocence binding them. That pure light was still within her daughter. She just needed to ignite it. The ground beneath the oak stirred uneasily, as if alive, just like the shadows that had entwined them. Emma stopped, staring at the thick trunk that had become the gateway to darkness and despair. "I want to let you take her," she shouted, voice now firm, a mother's fierce battle cry. Suddenly, the wind shifted, whipping around her, rushing whispers swirling in the air. Emma steadied herself, locking eyes with the darkened void of the tree's hollow, where wisps of shadow still curled like restless serpents. "Show yourself," she shouted defiantly, the words reverberating through the silence. And then, it appeared the figure surged from the depths, elongated, monstrous, eyes glowing with an ominous intensity. It loomed larger than before, a manifestation of every fear she had faced and the memories twisted to suit its sinister purpose. A shiver coursed through her, but she stood her ground, knowing she wouldn't be lost again. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, her voice trembling yet strong. "Everything you hold dear," it hissed, its voice like shards of glass, echoing through her mind. "Join me, submit your will, and we can be united. You and your daughter, in the power of darkness." "No," Emma cried, more fiercely. "I will never join you." Her heart hammered like a war drum, ignited by the thought of Lily lost to the depths. In that instant, something unfurled within her, a blaze of determination ignited by love. "Lily loves the light," she shouted, her voice rising. "I will never give into the dark. She will remember, and we will fight together." The shadows lurched, quaking before her resolve, as if aware of the power drawn from a true mother's love. Emma raised her hands, channeling memories that sparked blinding flames, illuminating the hollow space beneath the oak. The darkness writhed, recoiling against that fierce light. "See her," Emma demanded, focusing the warmth and love she held beneath layers of fear and pain. And then, at the edge of the light, Lily emerged, a ghostly shadow, illuminated faintly by purity, eyes wide and innocent, trapped yet reaching out. "Mommy," she whispered, voice small and trembling. "Lily," Emma gasped, bursting forth with renewed hope and determination. "I'm here. Grab my hand. Focus on us." Lily hesitated, the shadowy strands reaching closer, but Emma concentrated, pulling on their history, the laughter, the untainted dreams, the bond that could not be severed. "Remember our dreams," she urged, the warmth flowing through her. "The treehouse, our adventures in the park. You are so much more than this darkness." Tendrils of shadows writhed, furious and chaotic, as Emma's light blazed around them. "Fight, my darling, fight it," she shouted, spreading her arms wide, heart racing to bridge the void. Suddenly, Lily's voice cut through the tumult, stronger. "Mommy, I remember." A shining light erupted from within her, fueled by every loving memory shared, illuminating the surrounding darkness. In a thunderous roar, the shadow screamed, its form thrashing violently. As Lily's warmth merged with Emma's, shining brighter than any horror. "No, you cannot fight me," it bellowed, but Emma felt the energy surge, a pulse of strength that pushed the shadows back. "Yes, we will fight," Lily shouted, now a beacon of radiant love. They clasped hands, their lights spiraling upward, casting away the darkness. The shadow writhed and contorted, shrieking as it fragmented under their unity. "I will return," it howled, but Emma and Lily's bond shattered its essence, sending the last remnants spiraling into the void. And finally, silence fell, the hollow space replaced by a radiant light that pulsed with life. Emma breathed deeply, heart alive as she wrapped her arms around Lily, holding her close. "I thought I lost you," she whispered, tears spilling freely, swelling with relief. "I was scared, Mommy," Lily replied, her small frame trembling. "But I remembered you." The darkness was gone, leaving only the warm morning sun breaking through the trees. Light danced through the branches overhead, revealing how clear everything seemed. Emma had faced her deepest fears and chased away the shadows, reclaiming her daughter in the process. As they emerged from the shadows of the gnarled oak, they stood together, knowing they'd built something stronger, a promise to always hold onto the light. In that moment, Red Creek felt different, renewed. Closer than ever, they moved forward, hands entwined. And to everyone who had doubted the bond between mother and daughter, something unbreakable remained, a love unmarred by darkness. But even as they took their first steps into the new dawn of their lives, Emma already felt that icy whisper tickle the back of her mind. For she knew, deep down, that shadows never truly vanished. They only waited for the right moment to return. Assuredly, she would be ready. If you enjoyed this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on exclusive stories like this one. Smash that like button to help us spread the word. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, theories, and feelings about this mind-bending end. And share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need to experience this roller coaster of horror and hope. Don't wait even one more second. Let your voice be heard today.